This is Greg Strange, and this is the Flextreme from Opel Vauxhall. They showed it at the Frankfurt Motor Show. It's now here in the UK, and a lot of people are getting the chance to see it up close and personal. And I'm with Andrew Marshall, who's Director of Technology Communications for GM Europe. You better start, Andrew, if you would, by explaining exactly what Flextreme is. And it obviously has some family relationship with the Volt concept that you've been working on for the last couple of years.
That's correct. Flextreme is a sister to the Chevrolet Volt. This is a family of electrically driven vehicles.
Now, it's a battery-powered vehicle, but it's also got the charging capacity on board. Lithium-ion battery, 55-kilometre range, which is pretty good for most commuters. But the interesting thing here is that you've designed it and built it with a diesel engine, a 1.3-litre diesel engine, which doesn't actually drive the wheels, it merely charges the battery.
Absolutely correct. The diesel engine is there to recharge the battery when the battery is empty.
And presumably it's totally practical for most commuter use. You wouldn't even bother to be using the diesel engine. You just take it home at night, plug it in and recharge it for the morning.
Exactly. If you drive to work and your commute is less than 55 kilometres, when you get to work you plug it in, recharge the battery and drive home and recharge it overnight. It's quite conceivable that you would never use a drop of diesel out of the tank, and you'd never put 1 gram of CO2 out of your exhaust pipe.
But if you did need the extended range, you've got the diesel engine on board, you carry on, you reach the end of your 55 kilometres, and at that point the engine starts to be used while you're driving along to recharge the batteries.
Correct. Including the battery and the diesel fuel, you have a range for over 700 kilometres.
Now, for a vehicle like this, where does it fit in what GM is trying to do in terms of the environment?
GM supports reducing fuel consumption, reducing CO2 emissions, and we see the Flextreme as the next step towards electrification of the vehicle. That will be with a fuel cell, for example. That will be the end of the road, and the completely zero-emission vehicle, CO2 emission-free.
Now, the question everybody wants to know is, will a vehicle like this go into production?
Yeah, we want to know the answer to that ourselves too. We can't say exactly when, but we are developing the vehicle and the battery parallel to each other, and as soon as the battery is ready, and we will have the car that it can go into.
With Boris Jacob, and you've been part of the team that's designed the Flextreme, why make it in this shape? The Chevrolet Volt was a two-seater.
Yeah, this is a monovolume, and the monovolume architecture is a very popular one in Europe. It also stands for versatility, exactly like the brand Opel Vauxhall.
So this is a typical family car, as we would be familiar with here in Europe, but there are a lot of things we wouldn't be familiar with. Let's start with some of the obvious features and these double doors on each side.
Yeah, the double doors are very practical, again, for families. If you want to access the rear very easily, for example, with your baby seat or something, that's possible with this kind of door. And it gives generally easy access to the interior.
And at the back, gull wings, absolutely marvellous design. Again, it gives you all the access you could need to the rear storage area, but you've got a little extra surprise for us.
Exactly, the gull wings are there for a specific reason, because we've got an underfloor carrier for 2 segways, personal transporters, that can slide out. So you basically open the tailgate not in a traditional way to the rear, but to the side.
And you've replaced the traditional mirrors with cameras, which it seems when you see it to be a totally logical idea. Presumably it cuts down on drag.
Exactly, that was the main reason, such as other features that will reduce the drag, like the wheel covers on the wheels that are transparent, so we still keep the good looks of aluminium wheel, and the mirrors, as you said, and we blocked off some of the areas that we don't need for cooling.
And with cameras, it enables you to have a fantastic panoramic display. It's a remarkable thing, and you can vary the pictures you get.
Exactly. The panoramic display is not only for the rear view, it's also connected to the infotainment system and to all other information like sat-nav and all sorts of things that you need as a driver in general.
Well, when you're trying to do a vehicle that's environmentally sensitive, you're trying obviously to use materials that are as light as possible. And I know you've tried to do this not just with the exterior, but also with the interior.
Exactly. That was the main theme for the interior, to be visually and physically light. So we were using and actually also displaying very lightweight materials that are latest state-of-the-art technology.
I must ask you this, when you've done design exercises before, the GTC exercise, for example, that led to the Vectra replacement, is this a sort of test bed for a replacement for an existing model, for example, the Safira?
It wasn't intended that way. We tried a new architecture on this one. As you notice, it's lower than the Saphira, but you never know. I mean, if it's accepted by the public, maybe we can build on it.
And already you've announced that the doors, if nothing else, are going to become practical reality.
That's correct.
Any idea when?
Can't say.
Okay.